6-1.
Yes, Chairman, there's a small list, as you can see, of post-Christmas applications through NKBC. There's 5 on there. I've looked through them all and consider they merit no comment from my. One councillor mentioned something at the office, which I believe she wants to speak to.
Yes, Councillor Lorimer.
Yeah, it's the last one, 12 King Edward Street. There were 13 pages of this online. I don't live too far from there, and it abuts, this proposed planning application abuts onto Queen Street, King Edward Street, which is a rat run now anyway, and I'm just going to give you a tiny bit of information about it, and then if any of the ward councillors want to comment, of which I think there are 3 here, feel welcome. The North Western Planning Department feel that there's no need to have any off-road parking for the proposed building with 2 flats in it, because it's a car-free development accessible to town on foot. So there'll be no dedicated off-street parking, and they can, if they have a car, they can park on the street. And as I said, it's at a busy junction, yellow lines going right down King Edward Street, halfway up Queen Street. The buildings are 2 one-bed flats, kitchen, living room, bathroom. The planning officer does admit that it's a lesser site depth and lower width and height than the development that was done on 1 Lord Street. And it's a very narrow strip. I've looked at the front of the property on King Edward Street, the house that exists there, it's turn of the century, and at the side where the post taking down the wall on the side by Queen Street, a very narrow garden, and he also reports it's in a high density area. One of my main concerns is living not too far away, and people will confirm this who have side streets where they have to park all the way to Sleaford, that more likely than not, if they build this, the people who will move in, which is fair enough, will have at least 1 car each, and Queen Street is chock-a-block with on-street parking. King Edward Street, most of it you can't park on now because of the double yellow lines. Same with Castle Causeway, up to Butler Way, etc. So I think I would object on the grounds of the traffic issues, for one thing.
Councillor Dolby.
Can I ask Councillor Lorimer, are you saying there is no off-road parking?
Thank you for reminding me, Councillor Dolby. In the plans, the irony is they're going to provide 1 off-street parking within this garden development before they build this narrow building with 2 one-bed flats. But that's going to be the owner of the house, number 12 King Edward Street, whose garden it is. His house is on the front of King Edward Street, and on the side it butts onto Queen Street. And then you've got the chip shop. So the people who actually move there are going to have the same issue as a lot of people in Sleaford who don't have the luxury of having their own private drive, that they will have to join all the congested parking on Queen Street, all the way from King Edward Street, or wherever they get space.
Yes, Councillor.
Chairman, could I ask if there's any other Castle Ward members that want to make comment? The only thing I would say is that 1-bedroom flats are probably quite a thing that's missing in Sleaford, in terms of affordability and providing something for somebody that's starting off on the housing ladder. So they are attractive. They are close to the town, and perhaps a lot of the jobs might not necessarily need a car, and perhaps people that may buy these flats might not be able to afford both a car and a flat. And 1-bedroom flats are in short supply.
No, just reply. We don't know if they're going to be bought. They could be rented.
Well, I think that's splitting hairs.
No, it's not.
A 1-bedroom flat, if it's rented, is probably more affordable than lots of 2 bedrooms and 3 bedroom flats. So again, it's a good starting point for somebody that's starting off on independent life. So I do think, you know, there's some merit in having this sort of property available, but I'm not a ward councillor, so that's just my view. Councillor?
Yes, Councillor Point.
Thank you. What I would like to suggest for future is that it would be beneficial as a ward councillor, the relevant ward, to be notified or contacted in advance of the meeting with something like this, so that I could go down, for instance, with Councillor Lorimer, see where it's about to be built, see what the impact is personally, rather than being put in the position on the night itself of being asked to make comments on something that I've not had the opportunity to do that.
I wasn't trying to put.
I know you
wasn't
weren't.
trying to put you in point, and this has been out since the weekend.
I didn't have any reason to raise issue with it myself. Obviously, Councillor Lorimer has.
Yes.
She thinks that the ward councillors should possibly have some input to it. What I'm saying is that for the future, it would be beneficial if, under such circumstances, we contact them prior to the meeting. We can go out, have a look, see if there's anything relevant we want to raise at a meeting.
I'm not suggesting that you have to have any view.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chair. Just to say, having heard the discussion, I'm fully in sympathy with regard to the need for small housing for people, etc. We don't know. We may speculate about whether these people will have a car, will have an employment in Sleaford. We don't know that. But I do have sympathy for the issue that Councillor Lorimer has raised. That whole area is problematic in terms of the lack of residential parking.
Yes.
And if it were a new build, there wouldn't be a requirement for parking. So I think this is, I've got a passion about saying we actually want to have residential parking in central Sleaford. It's a passion of mine to push that forward. And so I think you've raised a legitimate point. I think it's valuable to make the comment that there is an issue about parking, the lack of residential parking in the central part of Sleaford.
Councillor Coyne.
Yes.
And just coming back to what Councillor Brown said, that with a new build, it would be essential to have offloads, because this is new build, it's a direction of 2 flats, it's not converting an existing. So surely if a criteria exists where any new build has to have off-road parking, then this should also. Is it 2 bedroom?
It's 1 bedroom flat.
2 one-bedroom flats.
Yeah, I think it's 2
Two
beds or
beds or
more,
more.
and to have parking, I think.
I'll just go to Councillor Lorimer, then I'll ask for proposal.
I'd just like to say that I've always been interested in planning applications and with planning meetings. That was one of the committees I really enjoyed. I'm just one councillor. I just happened to look through these before the meeting and noticed King Edward Street. And as one councillor, I went online and looked at the application. I don't really think it's my responsibility to point this out to other councillors. If they want to go online and look at it and see it, I just happen to live in that ward. I don't actually represent it.
Councillor Jackson.
Remind all councillors that if it is something that they feel very passionate about, I think there's no reason whatsoever why they can't register to speak when it turns up at North Stephen and make their viewpoint there. And it will have far more effect than trying to persuade the rest of the councillors here that we need as a body to do something.
Thank you.
Councillor Graves, and I've got Councillor Fernandez. I really want to close this one off.
Mr. Chairman, I support Councillor Lorimer's comments about the creation of the parking. But in that area, most of the houses have off-street parking. They're all parking on the street. I don't think the 2 dwellings are going to add to Sleaford's traffic problem in the grand scheme of things. However, if we could request that the plan, if they've managed to accommodate 1 parking space, although it's 2 one-bedroom flats, it is constructed as 1 dwelling.
Yeah.
And could we request that we actually create 2 parking spaces to at least accommodate the residents of that particular flat, that particular residence proposal, please?
Is that seconded? Okay.
So we've got it down, Madam Leader,
Madam Chair. First of all, we're going to comment potentially with a suggestion that we comment on the last one as regards the parking space in what Councillor Graves.
Okay, I'm going to put it to a vote now. So we're voting on the first four first.
We did call Councillor Fernandez.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
What I was going to say is we can also go on the website, on the NKDC website, and put our personal comments there if we think we need to. But I do not know if we can say we are talking as a Sleaford Town Councillor for a ward, as a ward councillor of Sleaford Town Council. Or are we talking onto NK as an individual, not as a ward councillor of Sleaford Town Council?
As an individual, you'll be talking.
You can only do it as an individual.
Yes.
Vote that the first four voted no comment.
Okay, can I see all those in favour of no comments on the first four?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, Melanie.
We're now voting on the King Edward Street application on placing that comment that was proposed. Can I see all those in favour?
Keith, do you want to say something?
I have one more comment to make on the last item. I am the NK councillor for that ward. I looked at it. I must say, I assumed that there were 2 parking spaces, and so I didn't object. I will find out tomorrow how many parking spaces there are, and if there is only 1 parking space, I shall then try and call it in.
Okay, can I see all those in favour of the comments?
We're commenting on the application as regards parking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, Melanie.
And those against? And abstentions?
2 abstentions.
Okay, we'll move on. A verbal update from
Tonight, we're going to negate that and even next week. We will be getting an agenda tomorrow because I've had a firm of planning consultants that have approached us to speak to. They want to present, so I've granted them a 30-minute slot after setting the agenda. So you will have an agenda next week, and one of the first items on it will be a presentation from a firm of consultants about the redevelopment of Orchard House. They would like to speak to the town council. So that will be next week. Sorry?
Great, thank you.
It'll all come out on your agendas tomorrow. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, item number 7 is the Councillor Brand, I believe you
I just simply to keep you well informed in terms of the areas that we've discussed. We're not bringing forward any recommendations, but if you look at what we did look at the last meeting, you'll see that in the near future we'll be bringing forward some significant recommendations on a number of areas. I think the only thing I actually really want to draw your attention to is item 4. It's been brought to my attention from 2020. It marks the issue of the Royal Charter in 1120, and I think we ought to think seriously 2 years ahead in terms of the celebrations tomorrow. That's all I wanted to draw your attention to at the present time.
Thank you very much. If nobody wishing to comment, I'll move on to 9.2. Sorry. Yes.
Can I ask, please, I noticed at 1C, there's a meeting with NKDC on signage on Monday. Is that to do with the previous discussion about signage?
It's to do with what I've reported to past meetings in terms of the fact that we have been approached by NKDC in terms of working with them, in terms of looking at broad issue signage across Sleaford in terms of which they're responsible for, we're responsible for, and Lincolnshire County Council. And I've done, so I've reported last week, we've done a walk around with a colleague from NK in looking at what I'd have to simply describe as the mess of signage in terms of pointing people in with finger guns in all different directions. But it's part of the bigger strategy of actually enhancing Sleaford in terms of not just people who live here, but visitors in terms of this being a historic market town.
Councillor Fernandez?
May I point out this, this article also comes under the manual of streets. It is part of that signage and the distance of all the street light and everything else does come under the manual of streets. I've posted one to all of you if you want to have a look. Councillor Lorber?
Under 2.2, need to consider replacing furniture in council chamber. What's the problem with the furniture?
This arises out of talking to representatives from the group who are looking at hiring out the council chambers in terms of feedback, particularly with regard to the furniture in this room, the problems which arose in terms of easily being able to reconfigure this in terms of making it an attractive and useful space. Councillors really Cook and Councillor Jan Matheson were going to meet to talk about it. I mean, I don't want to sort of go into the great history of it, but these are apparently not the sort of furnishings that we requested for purchase, and we're now suffering the consequences of it. No recommendation here, as I said, this is to show you what we're looking at.
Because I'm actually on that group, but this is the first time I've heard that, but never mind.
Well, I'm really reporting contact that I had with your lead from that group.
Yeah, so we go to every meeting, but that's the first I've heard of this. So there we go.
Right, we will get on to item number 9.2.
9.2, thank you, Chair. Yes, contacted by Norfolk Stephen, by the head of service to advise they're looking at their car parking charges, and as you know, they're a management contract with them over Eastgate, and they inquired of me whether the town council was looking to change their charges for 2017-18, because they'd have to amend the parking order, change the pay and day display machines. This is obviously in addition to the new coinage that's coming in. I proceed my response as clerk, which I'm asking the council to consider and make a recommendation at the bottom, and I'm quite open to listening and being instructed to do anything different.
Councillor
I'd just like to make a couple of points. The car park is particularly well used. It must be reaching its limit in terms of the finance it generates, and the only way that we can increase the finance it generates is to put a charge up, because the under occupancy is virtually not there. It may not be the time to do it at the moment. I would also say one thing is that I think we did provide a cost for resurfacing the car park, which was a good bit cheaper than the 150 to 200.
I agree.
But I would recommend, I would propose that we accept the clerk's recommendations in their entirety.
Second.
If there's nobody else wishing to talk on this one, I will put it to a vote. Can I see all those in favour?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Thank you, Councillor. I did try and glean from Rocker Stephen what their charges would be, but they were not allowed to tell me. But they were reporting on the 25th of January, I understand. So I would advise that no change. And just so you know, new machines and recalibrated machines to accept new payment cards will be part of the arrangements for the car park for the year. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, on to item 9.3.
Yes, if I can, Chair, just tidying up some loose ends around the working group. We mentioned last time we haven't seen terms of reference for this group, so they've been produced and they're here for council consideration, and you know the end date for this group is suggested is the 7th of March.
Councillor Lorimer.
Has the group actually met? Because it said it was established on the 6th of July, and we're now just getting terms of reference to approve.
Yes, that's unfortunate. We did have that.
Yes.
And we've got a few teething problems with our constitution. We're getting it correct.
I'm sorry, Chairman, that's not correct.
Okay,
A point of clarity, terms of reference were provided for the Constitution and were adopted by the Council. I think it needs a revised terms of reference.
No.
Well, I'm sorry, they were produced.
They were requested by council at previous meetings.
They were produced and they were given to the panel, and they were asked then to confirm or change them.
Just to remind you, Councillor, it was actually you at the previous meeting recently, you actually asked to see a copy of these because they hadn't actually been validated and agreed.
Validated, I think, is the issue.
And
You will have a
the group was formed after the annual general meeting, and in response to the question about has it met, yes, it has met. If you remember, we actually had a PowerPoint display of our first walk around. I'm not here to speak to why it's taken so long for the terms of reference to be presented to you. I'm really saying that we have met. We have done the presentation.
I did introduce it, councillors, as tidying up the loose ends. Perhaps it's an oversight on my part, so I'll take the blame for not having the terms of reference done. But you asked it last meeting, you got them this meeting. We will have another set next week for another group that appears not to have them agreed. So really, I asked for these to be approved. Yes, I will have to ask for them.
If you've got a group, surely you have to have your terms of reference. We've got to be open and transparent about everything.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're doing. We're getting things correct.
It's the 6th of July. It's now.
No, the council, just to be clear, the council abolished all the working groups on the 6th of July last year. Some working groups have. Now it said, I put there, yes I agree, was established by, and I apologise, I'm using the 6th of July as a date when everything else was abolished and we started afresh. It is feasible this group has not operated for that long. So if there's a date error on there, I apologise, but it's only probably met once. But okay, I'm accepting this part, I'm tidying up loose ends, and I will take the hit for not pushing the paperwork through to you.
Councillor Fernandez.
I second it.
Right, so let's put it to the vote. Can I see all those in favour?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Thank you. Ms. Clark, if I hear the word transparency, I'll be disappointed because I would like to think in this community that anything and everything comes through you and you all know what is going on. That's very much my belief. So there should be no issues about transparency. You do see everything.
So if we go on to 9.4.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, again, request, probably self-explanatory. I've had an approach regarding the industrial park runs at the rec. The report, for those of you who have a chance to read it, is self-explanatory. I've had a formal request. I'm asking for an in-principle agreement, yea or nay, and then I'll work on the final points and probably come back to you as regards what is actually required.
Right, we've got Councillor Allen and Councillor Fernandez.
I read through the item that came in, and it seems to be something that maybe the council would want to support. The only thing that concerned me a little bit was the frequency and whether that was going to be disruptive to the general activities that take place on the rec and the general well-being that comes from just being walking around the rec as opposed to running around the rec. But I can't imagine it is going to be particularly frequent. So I would propose that we accept the recommendation, but I'm sure there's other comments that might have to be made. Councillor Fernandez, the Councillor Graves and Tips.
I'll have to second it.
Yes. Okay. Councillor
Seconded, that's all I was.
Second. I'll speak as far as virtually everybody wants this one. Okay, can I see all those in favour?
16 hands up.
Unanimous.
If it does come to fruition, councillors, I'm putting you all down to do the first one.
You realise that the fund having going out with sponsorship sheets that were taking part in this.
Sorry, councillor, me again, I believe, isn't it? You're happy to move on.
Yes, I'm happy to move on.
Thank you. Yes, you remember with your constitution there were a number of chapters that were required revision, reworking and such like. So now, if you're able to, if you want to take them individually, so please do. Melanie, in fairness, has finally sat down and produced these 3 to add to the relevant sections of our constitution: the anti-fraud and corruption, the confidential reporting, and the whistleblowing. I wasn't posted to go through my line, Chairman. They are quite, what can I put it, intense documents.
Councillor Tips.
I don't see anything wrong with these at all. I propose that we accept them.
I'll second that. And can I see all those in favour? That's all 3.
I'm just going around like this, I can see 16 hands up, thank you. Right, Melanie, 4 weeks' work is going in 13 seconds.
Thank you very much for the staff involved in that. Congratulations on the hard work.
Sorry, I spoke over Melanie. I didn't get a second. Who did second that? Councillor Fitness.
I think I seconded it.
Oh, okay. So
I think I just beat Councillor Graves to it.
yes, thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on to item number 11.
Yeah, again, I put this in as unadulterated because I didn't need to write a report, so I felt it was self-explanatory, Chair. So, and as clerk, I've got no specific comment, but if you want me to respond to LCC, I will do so at your instruction.
Councillor Allen.
I think the existing 30 mile an hour speed limit doesn't end where it should end, because there have been residential buildings taking place since it was put at the end of Albert Hadley's old house, or before Albert Hadley's house. So it arguably could be extended. It is extended perhaps a little bit far because it goes through what is quite a rural area, and a 30 mile an hour zone might be quite difficult to enforce and for drivers to understand the nature of the changing features alongside the road. But I think in general it's something probably that the council would want to support, so I would recommend that it is, that we make no comments apart from we support the proposal.
Support.
Councillor Graves.
Can I support the proposal, Mr Chairman? The thing I would say is if they take that to Stumpcross Hill at 30 miles an hour, what does seem very strange is you're going to go from 30 to 60 to 30 in a very, very short distance because you're hitting St Willoughby at 30.
Yeah.
And neighbouring authorities have actually either graduated that or brought it down. So the comment I would make is can council give consideration then to what a relatively short distance there is then between two 30 mile an hour speed limits?
You happy with that? Yeah.
I'm very happy with that. Yeah.
I've got Councillor Titmus and Councillor Fernandez.
I didn't say exactly the same as Councillor Graves. I was down there today and I saw a car going out of the 30 mile an hour limit. It was doing at least 80 very shortly after that towards St Willoughby. But I quite agree. At the moment, the suggestion is the 30 mile an hour speed limit starts somewhere just past where the old Vex used to be, doesn't it? It's a very short distance there before you go to 30 mile an hour to St Willoughby. So I fully agree with Councillor Graves now.
Councillor
I
Fernandez.
quite agree, 30 mile and there should not be any breakage in it.
Okay. Okay, are we all clear on the proposal?
Yes,
I support the proposal with the observation about the move from 30 to 60 to 30.
Yeah, should be
Short distance, yeah.
Okay, can I see all those in favour?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, we'll move on to 11.2. We've got a written one by Councillor Charlesworth. Do you wish to add anything to it?
We'll start now. Yeah, I saw this agenda item 11.2, so I did a quick visit locally to near where I live. Some of these are old problems and keep coming back on us, and they need sorting out. One is a new problem. It's not quite in the Sleaford Town Council remit, but I was a member on the Farm Bridge Cycle Track Committee, a working group with NK that set up the funding through Sustrans, and I have got great concerns for future developments in Sleaford if we don't get these things sorted out earlier to prevent accidents. I'll start off with the Lincoln Road one. It's generally free from litter at the moment, except when you get to the mini roundabout, which leads on to Holdingham Mead and then down to Holdingham Grange. And there are still some cartons, mainly at that point, from McDonald's. McDonald's do clear their bits, and they're doing it more regularly than they did before Christmas, and I'm not complaining about it, but it is an ongoing problem. Litter bins are available, but we have a general problem that people either just throw the cartons down when they're finished with them, or they come out of the car windows as they go into the Holdingham roundabout. The other side of the road, from Stokes Drive to Hockmeyers, there's a lot of litter in that beck there, and this is the problem with Holdingham. It's the same in other parts of Sleaford. We still have becks which are hard to get at. Not only have you got the becks, but you've got overhanging thorn bushes, which make it very difficult to get down and clear the litter out. So I'm just making that, I've taken some photograph there. It's probably, the photograph don't do justice to the amount of litter, and it does increase on a daily basis, certainly from the point of time I took those photographs. 2 hours later, there's even more litter there and around on the roadside, so it was probably due to coming out of cars. I'll let that go for a moment, but it is a continuing problem. I'm not blaming the Sleaford Town Council. We did put a litter bin near Lockmires and it is used. But I'm sorry, this is modern day life and these things are still happening, and as a society we don't seem to improve some of our efforts by individuals. Having said that, it is a minority of individuals, I'm sure. Right, now on the other side of the road, I was on the Farmbridge group which set up the cycle track which goes right down into Sleaford. But on the photograph there you can see the entrance to the Holdingham Grange new development, which is 295 houses, I think that's the latest tally, and some of those houses are being lived in. And therefore cars are going in and out, plus lorries and various other things, because work continues on the site. And you can see there that the cycle track comes right down to the road, and the road leading in to the Holdingham Range also meets the cycle track, and the only bit of road that isn't covered by the cycle track is about 2 to 3 feet long. It is a potential hazard, a dangerous hazard, and I cannot understand why this hasn't been sorted out before people were moved in to live on their estate, and it has been sorted out. So it's not entirely, it isn't the Sleaford Town Council's immediate problem, but it is something we should be concerned about, because there are other developments obviously we know about in Sleaford, and the highways really must sort these problems out before these estates are lived in. Otherwise there is going to be a serious accident. There are no signs to say who's got the right of way. If ever anybody got hurt, I don't know what the lawyers would make of any compensation claims that would go in, and I would ask maybe Councillor Allen or somebody to really raise the roof about this. It should not have happened. I'll leave it at that, but I thought I'd express my concern, and also, you know, we have to get these things sorted out with the things that are going to like it down and sleep over the coming years. Thank you.
Right, we've got 300 tickets on the report to Councillor Charlesworth.
No, I was just going to say that I rang the office and after Councillor Charlesworth I've got to the board's report.
Right. Councillor Fernandez.
Basically, this road entrances does not comply with the manual of streets that I've been trying to put forward for the last 6 months, or for over a year now. It just doesn't comply with it. And it's been up and running since 2007.
The Highways Manual for Streets is guidance.
Yeah.
So it's not descriptive, and it's not, it's not statutory. But I have listened very carefully to what Councillor Charles said about the design there, and I will go and look at it straight away and take it up on his behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And anybody else got a report?
Yes,
sorry, Councillor Jackson, do you wish to...
This is regarding what Councillor Charles has been said. I think actually there are several outstanding items on that particular development, things which are within the planning commission that haven't been carried out that are supposed to have been carried out. So I guess that's just another to the list. I will take it up with NK Planning.
Thank you. Just as a point, I've spoken to Jenny Bailey over it, and she's aware of it as well. I think things are happening, but it should happen long ago.
Councillor Lorimer, is this a report?
Yeah, I did actually ring the office
Yes,
today to
yes,
say
yes.
I had a report on West Holmwood. Right, I've got two, one for Newfield and one for the New Allotments Association. 7th of December, I arranged a meeting between Brian Watson and a lady called Mo and myself with the clerk. There was actually a panel meeting going on at the time, and they've actually formed their own allotment committee, and they're aligned to the National Allotments Association. It's a very interesting meeting. Lots of talk about various things like removing hedges in Tennyson Avenue To me, the important thing was that there have been issues with the allotments of Millfield tennis in the past where tenants probably have felt that their voice is not being heard. So now we've got a proper committee. The actual allotment holders will have some representation between themselves and the town council. I mean, Kevin, if you want to come in.
I report to you on your council for next week, if that
Yeah,
helps. We
yeah.
did meet with them and listen to them. I am bringing a report to you, which you will see tomorrow, about Gallagher allotments with some observations,
Yeah.
seeking some guidance. So yes,
But I
it's
think
very
that's a
useful.
crucial point that they've now actually
Yeah.
formed
There is
their own allotments committee.
Yeah.
So there should be some more, communication
Yeah.
between them and the town council.
Yeah.
The other one, Newfield, is still progressing. I had a hard hat on again and had to clamber up some very, very narrow stairs at the last meeting. It's a joy to go to these meetings and actually meet the tenants who are very enthusiastic about all the improvements that will be made to their properties, and also the sense of community that they actually feel that they've got some support and that people are interested in what's going on down in their neck of the woods. So I always try to go to the meeting and I always come out with a sense of optimism there. Because you came to one, didn't you?
I came to one, I have the same feeling. It is very good to see what's happening. It's very good to see the prospective tenants heavily involved in all the decisions associated with the improvements to those properties.
And that's what you should have everywhere, but that's a good one.
Thank you very much. I'm very keen that when councillors got reports into this item, that they let the clerk know that potentially we could have 27 reports lasting 3 minutes at a time, plus discussion on it afterwards if we're not careful. So it could be very time consuming
Councillor Lorimer and Councillor Johnson.
So can I thank you very much for the few reports tonight, Councillor Lorimer and Councillor Charlesworth, looking with your photographs and written report to go with it. Thank you very much. And I will move on to item number 12.
Yes, Chairman, the only thing I can report, I've had confirmation today from the leaseholder down at the REC that the terms that the council had set out are agreeable, so it's my intention to move on and move to prepare a new lease document in due course. But that's only coming today, so... But other than that, Chair, no, I mean, I've got you again next week, so if there's anything else, I've already put it on the agenda for next week. On that, but nothing more for me to report today, considering you haven't seen me for a month.
Okay, I'll move on to item number 13, resolution to move into closed session.
Proposed Councillor Fernandez, second Councillor Mrs Allen. Yes. Reasons are stated there, Councillor, so it's...
Okay, so if everybody is happy,
move hands up.
can I see all those in favour?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 hands up.
Thank you very much.
Stop the meeting for a couple of minutes while I score.